I believe we can start our press conference. Mr. Kasčiūnas will join us in a few minutes, and also we are waiting to be connected General Braus. So the reason why we are organizing this press conference is an event called Vilnius Security Forum, and we have prominent experts and speakers who will share their views about the regional security. So I will introduce all the speakers to you right now, and later on probably we will allow them to speak about their views and their understanding about the regional security, and then we will be open for questions. So now I would like to introduce Mr. Dr. Timo Hellenberg. He is Chief Executive and founder of Hellenberg International, and he has served as a special advisor in European Union Foreign Affairs to 2 prime ministers in Finland, and more than a decade as a security consultant for the Finnish government and council. He has 25 years of academic and crisis management research, and very good, he has huge experience about the security. And also I would like to introduce Mr. Lieutenant General retired Henrik Braus. You can see him online. And Lieutenant General was NATO Generally for Defense, was NATO Secretary General for Defense Policy, Force Planning from October 2013 and to July 2018. In his role, he was also Division Chief of the Defense Policy and Planning Division of International Staff of NATO and Chairman of the Defense Policy and Planning Committee of the North Atlantic Council. Also, I would like to introduce Mr. Laurynas Kasčiūnas, who just came to the press conference. And of course, you know, he is a chairman of National Security and Defense Committee of the Parliament of the Republic of Lithuania. He is a political scientist, member of Parliament of the Republic of Lithuania, and in the past he worked as analytical work at various research centers and has worked with colleagues and various analytical studies on Lithuanian national security. And last but not least, Ambassador Žygimantas Pavilionis. Right now he is a chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee of Lithuanian Parliament. And Ambassador Žygimantas Pavilionis started his career in Lithuania as Lithuanian diplomat since 1993. So he's very experienced, and of course, Lithuanian audience, he knows him pretty well. And now I would like to start maybe to ask Lieutenant General Henrik Braus to begin our press conference, and please, General, floor is yours. Can you check your microphone because we cannot hear you. Oh, okay, General, please check your microphone, and we will give you a chance a little bit later. So now I would like to ask Mr. Timo Hellenberg.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to participate in the Vilnius Security Forum. I would like to thank specifically Lithuanian Defense Foundation and also Lithuanian Parliament for organizing this event, and many sponsors and partners from Europe, NATO and the countries. Hybrid influencing, hybrid warfare is the topic today. We have many concepts for this issue. Hybrid interference is probably something we know mostly from past years. War in Ukraine, war in Georgia, the situation in Caucasus as a whole, and of course we have multiple other examples of interference to the elections and also influencing the free media and free societies. Saying that, I must say that when it comes to the multiple influencing and complex influencing of societies, this method has existed as long as the human beings has been interfering with each other. So basically, this is nothing new we are witnessing today. What is new is the vulnerability of our societies, and particularly the interdependency of our societies. So this brings us more vulnerable than ever before. And for that reason, the Vilnius Security Forum is very timely and needed. And I'm sure we will have very practical conclusions today for the decision makers. And I'm very glad to see that we have political decision makers taking part to the actual debate today, and also taking part to the presentations. And hopefully we can carry on with some lessons learned and some impact on the daily politics and strategic planning in Lithuania and all the other European member states. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timo. Thank you, Timo. And now maybe we can try general. Oh no. Okay. Gerai, dabar galbūt galima į lietuvių kalbą.
I will switch to Lithuanian now because we have Lithuanians with us. Mr. Kasčiūnas, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. Thank you, Vaidotas, for the opportunity. This is a traditional conference already, forum, Vilnius Security Forum, and I'm happy to welcome all the guests. This is the most important annual event for the National Security and Defense Committee. We measure during that event what is the temperature on what is the situation in Lithuania and abroad on security, what are the new challenges, new trends, new tendencies, and the key issue is not just the mapping of trends, but also of our resilience and preparedness to meet those challenges. Let me share with you some insights and some possible decisions that may take some time to be implemented. I will not delve deep into hybrid warfare. There's no more difference between peace and war. There are sectors where there are challenges, including misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, COVID-19 that can be used for malign purposes, and migration crisis or other phenomena and aspects and situations that can be used malignly. On the one side, they seem to be civil-related situations, but they can also become warfare situations. The state, when it sees the difficult nature of challenges, has to be prepared. There are no more dividing lines between peace and war. How much ready is the NATO alliance for non-conventional threats? How ready are the societies? Today in Lithuania, we're moving towards the whole of government approach and whole of society approach. Defense is not just an affair of the arms, but also of plans for society, for actions in crisis situations, and for resilience of society to crisis and the will to resist external or hidden in direct aggression. When I speak about whole of government approach, we mean that to the crisis we have to adapt a comprehensive approach to integrate crisis management into that. What does our state do so far? We have decisions of the Defense Council. My committee has also been engaged and has provided some concepts as to how integrated crisis management system should be created in Lithuania. Before, we had several crisis management systems. Under COVID situation, we saw that some crisis management systems were in place, but they were not activated. There was one more system which was created and now fights against the crisis. This should not be the case. We should explicate and have a clear crisis management system which should work under the crisis and decide which institution should be in charge of making decisions and to be central for the solutions. This matter has to be integrated with the government and the Prime Minister. We have on our agenda the concept for such a defense system, and afterwards we will adopt the amendments to legislation. This is a long-term process and we are moving forward. Another aspect is China. It's a new challenge. We talked about it a lot today. We clearly see two technospheres in the world, the pro-Western technosphere with the US leadership and the authoritarian technosphere of China, associated with the 5G development of other technologies. 5G will change our lives in technological aspects, and our military communications will have new risks in place. Therefore, as a state, we will have to decide on which technosphere we want to join. We are moving towards going away from the China-ruled technosphere. We will have to adopt important decisions. Our committee is preparing drafts that will complement the protection of our strategic facilities and communications, so that technology and our procurement is safeguarded from unsafe companies. We are talking about state-owned companies, facilities of strategic importance. We are preparing the legislative basis for protecting them. These are the key issues, and I will leave you with this. Thank you, Mr. Laurynas.
Establish good connection with General Braus, and General Braus, please, floor is yours.
Good morning to everybody. Can you hear me now?
Good morning. Excellent.
Excellent. Good morning to Lithuania and to Vilnius and to all participants of the conference. I'm glad that I can participate, even though I have to do that via as a virtual participant. But as you all know, the Baltic region, and in particular Lithuania, are a key region not only for NATO, but also for my country. For Germany, we have a sort of special relationship to Lithuania, since we provide the leadership of the NATO battle group that is deployed to your country. And I can say that we are proud of it, to be involved in that important NATO activity to provide security to our partner countries and allies in the Baltic region in a time which is very demanding, given the increasing challenges and threats around your region, but also Europe in general. You know that the foreign ministers of NATO met this week and addressed the further development of our alliance towards NATO 2030, and discussed all the evolving challenges and threats that challenge the whole Western community. This is, on the one hand, of course, continuously being aggressive Russia. And I have heard that this morning a panel discussed the challenge of hybrid warfare that is being launched, including by Russia, and in particular by Russia. But it's not the only challenge nowadays. And in the coming 10 years, NATO is also confronted with the implications of the rise of China to world power status in many respects, with continuous terrorism in the south, and with the implications of climate change for the security of the alliance, and the implications of emerging and disruptive technologies, which will have a significant impact on security, defense, and also on the organization of our armed forces. All these issues have been discussed by foreign ministers, but it was very clear that the transatlantic bond, the close alliance between North America and Europe, are key and essential for the security of all of us. And the regional security in your region is a key consideration and is of key importance for the alliance as a whole. And I'm looking forward to discussing this more closely and more in detail at a later panel. And I'm glad that I'm participating in this important conference, as I did already twice or 3 times in the past. Thank you very much, Vaitautas.
Thank you, sir. Gerai, dabar vėl gal grįžtame.
Thank you very much. We come back to Lithuanian, and we will ask Ambassador His Excellency Pavilionis to take the floor. Thank you very much. I will do my best. As Laurynas Kasčiūnas has previously mentioned, we have in place the society wars waged by societies, as President Biden has referred to as a war between autocracies and democracies. We have every opportunity today to take a successful part in that war. Democracy by our state is seen as the central priority, and this is also a central aspect of Biden's American policy. The Baltic states' security should be reinforced by a greater presence of the U.S., not only in terms of military, but also in economic terms. We have lots of plans of ways to expand our economic representation in the U.S. and to ensure that there's greater presence of economic, political, and people-to-people contacts from the U.S. in Lithuania. This also amounts to greater defense funding and the strength of our own democracy. I will be provocative by saying that the culture wars began in the past, and we have to be very careful because I can see this participation of some third countries. In reinforcing the democracy in the region, it's important to look into the case of Belarus. And free and democratic elections this year in Belarus is of huge importance. Yesterday, State Department representative from the US made a clear statement on that. We have a coalition now. It's important to make it a reality. This will also help us to solve the Ostrovets problem in Belarusian nuclear power plant in Belarus. As to Sakartvelo, Georgia, the best solution would be to let it join NATO. The mistake made in Bucharest should be improved, and democracy has to be installed in Georgia, also expanded in Ukraine and Moldova. Fourthly, Russia. Together with the new U.S. administration, which will not go towards the reloading of relations, we have to move towards the target of democracy in Russia. We have to do everything so that democracy is our goal. And one of the tools is money. The so far, we have not been doing anything on that. The Magnitsky Act has no anti-corruption element, and we clearly know that we have to punish not only those who commit crimes, but also those who fund them, and who support them. Their money pockets are in the West usually, and we do nothing to stop them. As for China, Lithuania is also taking leadership on that front. We're trying to leave every format where China is has tried to divide us. We are trying to join the transatlantic power against China's overpowering the region. We are expanding our links with our other powers in the region, including Taiwan. And let's never forget another new partner with new clothing, the global UK, which is on our side. Jointly with Mr. Kasčiūnas, we have had a number of events on that topic. The old turned new player, the UK is on our side. After we connect all the instruments and all the partners, and after we clearly outlined a plan, what we can do to reestablish democracy in the region, we will transform the region. I firmly believe in that. Thank you very much indeed. And now it's time for questions.
Good afternoon. When it comes to the crisis management system, could you expand on that? What should be implemented and whether the state is ready to combat the threats if they arise in the institution? So are we prepared for that? So the plan is as follows. That the Prime Minister, well, this should be done at the government level, and that we should establish the crisis management center at the government, which could be led, well, of course, we will decide upon that, but that there should be some political nomination. The center would accumulate all the information. It would have certain indicators in relation to how one or another crisis should be resolved. What should be done, let's say, in such cases when fires arise in one municipality and then it crosses the borders into another municipality? How to deal with such crises as the COVID pandemic? So the Prime Minister then would have to decide which ministry would be the lead ministry and which would help the lead ministry to implement. Thus, the lead ministry would coordinate the actions, and everything would be clearly integrated. So I believe that we should base this center on the model of Finland. Previously, we had a debate with the British Cobra. They have something similar. This is a new thing. This is not very tangible yet, but it is very important to have such a center and to stop fidgeting. I think that we are moving towards establishing that center. I believe that we will have the support of the institutions. Thank you. We still have some time. Anyone willing to comment?
Much coming from Finland, I would like to underline the fact that every crisis situation our country has faced has been different during the recent years. Saying that the modern crisis situations always have a political dimension, and the crisis itself, they do not respect the borders, not sectoral borders, not the state borders. So the difficulty comes from the interagency response, and what we have learned is to develop a comprehensive response system. So Prime Minister and Prime Minister's office should always be in the lead. The difficulty comes definitely from the fact that our system is still based on the on the old fractional sectoral dividends of internal and external threat. And as we have seen in the COVID crisis, the new type of situations are challenged. And for that reason, what we have tried to do is to enhance the decision-making mechanism to enforce the situational awareness, so that the first responding agency, whether it's a local, whether it's a regional, or whether it's based at the government cabinet, should have the comprehensive situational awareness at hand. And this is the difficulty also with a hybrid defense. So what I would like to underline is the fact that we need to have a comprehensive system which includes the preparedness, response, consequence management, both strategic level response and tactical operational level response. And last but not least, of course, the role of the citizens is important, and how the citizens share the idealism of minds and hearts needed, particularly with the hybrid defense system. But thank you again for mentioning Finland. I'm very happy about that.
Okay, more questions? Okay, maybe I would like to ask General Browse one question, if you don't mind. Sir, you know, European Union and NATO is organizations which also, you know, has some certain defensive capability. But it looks like, you know, that at many in many places, including conceptual and hardware, we are, so to say, having lack of interoperability. Yes. So, what are your thoughts about how we can strengthen our, you know, Western security, and how we can increase our interoperability? And I'm talking not only about conceptual, but there is a very simple example, you know, then, for example, 3 Baltic states, we are purchasing different type of infantry fighting vehicles, and as a general, you perfectly understand that we are not interoperable logistically. And this is just one example. So.
Yeah. Interoperability has many dimensions, as you already indicated it, Vaidotas. The armed forces concerned should first share the same, more or less the same concept of leadership and how to command, control armed forces and how to work together. That is key. Second, and this is with regard to your region, you need to have a clear command control system from the top to the bottom of every commander involved in any planning exercises and operations. So it is important, in my view, from a German point of view and from a NATO point of view, that the whole Baltic region is being considered as one operational area. There are 2 divisions that are in charge, one in Elbląg in Poland, which is in charge for Lithuania and northern Poland, and another one in Riga, which is commanded by, I think, a Danish general officer, in charge for coordinating planning, training, and if there was a conflict, deployment of the Estonian and Lettish forces. And that is important that these countries, the countries, the leaderships and the political leaderships, accept that there is a NATO command that is in charge for coordinating planning and exercises and, if need be, operations. The technical interoperability is manifold. And this is one of our biggest challenges across the whole NATO, in particular between the European nations and the US. How can we make sure that our equipment, our telecommunications equipments, are modern and allow for and facilitate that the armed forces can talk to each other? That is something we need to urgently address, and this is part of the modernization of the armed forces, in particular amongst the Europeans. So the Europeans need to make sure that they can work and operate together and alongside the Americans in terms of making sure that their communication systems work best and allow for such an interoperability at technical level. But I would like to stress that it is important that the three Baltic countries coordinate their equipment, their doctrine, and their planning, and do that in coordination with the NATO headquarters in charge, the multinational corps in Chechen, but also the two divisions involved, and accept that NATO and the NATO commands that are deployed in the region have a say in coordination of planning exercises and preparation for any potential conflict in hopefully, which we can hopefully avoid. But it's a key element of successful deterrence and defense in the region if needed.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If there are no more questions, I'd like to express my gratitude.
Soon. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, see you later.
See you later.